Hey, what's up? Welcome to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Al Marshall. This channel is all about music success. I've got over 30 years of experience in music and business, and I want to combine these two things to help musicians to achieve greatness and music success where they can thrive, release music, build an audience, as well as make some coin. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about getting started. If you're a beginner, this video is perfect for you. Even if you're a seasoned musician and you want to work out how to really accelerate your music career, then this video is definitely for you as well. This video is all about starting. Now, when I mean starting, I'm not talking about necessarily just picking up an instrument and starting from scratch. What I'm talking about is if you're already an established musician and you're wanting to take your career to the next level, then this video is absolutely for you. So what I'm assuming is that you already are proficient or able to make music already, and you might be looking for a little bit of motivation to get going and maybe even start to take music a little bit more seriously and potentially even make a business out of your music career. So what am I talking about when I just say just start? Well, first of all, this could be just making music again. Maybe you made music before and you've lost your way a little bit and you lost your motivation and you want to get back into it. So it could be as simple as just starting to make music. There are typically 4 key things that are stopping us from getting motivated about our music. It could be that we're procrastinating, possibly getting distracted with other things. It could be that maybe we've lost the excitement around our music. Or possibly we're now at the next stage where either we want to go and record or play in front of people and we're feeling maybe some stage fright or some apprehension about doing that next step. Or finally, we might have some self-doubt. Maybe we just are a little bit anxious about our music and the quality of our music, and we have a lot of doubts that, we're able to actually make the right type of music or whatever. So we're going to look at each of these in turn and look at some solutions to overcome each of these different areas and hopefully get you back on track with making music and getting out there and really shining as far as your music. So let's kick this off with procrastination. That's the typical thing I hear again and again and again. And in fact, I suffer from this, as do many other people. And that's where we want to do everything but make music. We doom scroll, we spend time online on social media, or maybe we're watching TV a lot or just hanging out, or really not doing the things that are going to help us to progress and get our music career back on track. The big thing about procrastination is it's actually really easy to fix. So often there's a mental component to it, and there's also a motivation side as well. So let's talk a little bit about the mental part as well. One of the things that is so easy to do is to just get distracted by life, especially if you're a parent or if you've got a busy work life. It's very easy to just slip into habits where you're not actually finding time for your music, and so life gets in the way, and before you know it, it's been 2 or 3 years and you're like, I haven't even picked up my instrument. What the hell is going on? Maybe this video is the thing that you needed to get started back into making music and progressing your career. Let me teach you a little trick that I've used that I find super helpful. And now we've all heard of the to-do list. So this is where you set a list of tasks and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then you do the thing and you tick it off. Well, one of the things that I find with that is sometimes you do the to-do list and then you're not going to come back to it. Let me introduce you to a concept called the reverse to-do list. And this is all about creating a list, but not writing the tasks down until you've done it. And I tell you, it's like one of those amazing things that I stumbled on. I don't know if I invented it, but I'm sure other people have done it, but I found it really helped me. So you just get a blank sheet of paper, you write at the top list of things to do, and instead of just writing the actions or breaking down the actions into smaller actions and then writing them down and then ticking them off, what you do is you actually go and do the action instead. So it might be just start by picking up the instrument. Instead of writing pick up instrument, just go and pick up the instrument and play for like 20 minutes. And then go back to your list when you're done and write played instrument for 20 minutes. And then you can tick it. And what happens is you start to condition yourself to being more action orientated, more focused on doing things. and then getting the reward, the dopamine hit, if you will, from the tick. Actually a really great reward system for yourself. And what you start to do is you start to train yourself in wanting to do actions to add them to the list. And this has been proven in neuroscience. There's a guy called Dr. Daniel Levitin, who's a neuroscientist, who's written a lot about this and around how when we do little actions, we get a little hit of dopamine, which is a drug in our brains that's the reward drug. So you can actually condition yourself to getting that same hit when you actually do a task on your reverse to-do list. Social media kind of works the same way. When you're doom scrolling or scrolling through things and you see a like, or you post a like or whatever, you get a little dopamine hit when you see that little flag go in, or when you get a little DM. It's the same concept. But if you think about it, when you're going into social media, you're not really creating. Often you're really consuming content. You're going through a TikTok feed, or you're going through a YouTube feed, and then you're watching things. So you're consuming. Whereas with the reverse to-do list, what you're actually doing is you're creating. It's a creating list. Every time you're thinking, I'm just going to go consume content, you could be creating content. Could be making your music, rehearsing, recording your rehearsal. Then you're left with something. And if nothing else, you've got your reverse to-do list where you've actually ticked off the task. And then over time, you can get that gratification of looking at the progress that you've made. And you get the self-reflection of going back and looking at the things that you did and acknowledging and seeing that you're progressing and that you're doing things. And that usually tends to give you a lot of motivation, because now you're actually starting to condition yourself around the rewards of the to-do list. And if you really want to supercharge it, what you can actually do is you can reward yourself after you've done a thing. I used to, when I worked in business, there's always things that you don't want to do. And so one of the ways that I used to use the reverse to-do list was to reward myself after I did the action. So it might be, okay, I've got to call that person and I don't really want to call the person. I'm not really looking forward to it. I go and call the person and I reward myself with a cup of coffee or something else that I like, maybe a sweet or whatever it is. But the point is you can create a system of rewards that help you and encourage you to get back on that treadmill as far as the music is concerned and get you back into a creative spirit. And then after a while, what will happen is you'll start to see the progression, but also hear the progression as your music gets better and better. And as you start to release your music and do all those kind of actions and create content and all that, what will happen is you'll start to really see that flourish. And that in of itself will also motivate you. But just to kickstart that process, that's where the reverse to-do list can really help. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about self-doubt. Now this is something that really can come in to anybody. And this is that little voice in your head that says that you're not good enough, you're crap at music, you're not very good, you'll never be successful, why are you doing it, why are you wasting your time, this isn't a money-making thing, you're being selfish, instead of spending time with your family, you're sitting there making music. Well, these are all little things in our heads that are called negative self-beliefs. Often those little thoughts, those little niggling negative things can really slow us down and stop us from being successful or from even making any music. And in fact, with some examples, it can be so paralyzing where you literally can't do anything because everything that you do, you're going to be self-critical of, and it can be literally paralyzing. So how do you remove self-doubt? What is the cure for negative self-belief or those negative thoughts that pop into our heads? Well, it's actually really simple. Every time you get one of those thoughts, write it down and then write the opposite and then cross out the negative thought. And every time you get the thought in the future, just say the opposite of it. You'll start to build what's called affirmations. So let's have an example. You pick up the guitar, you start to play, and straight away the negativity comes in your brain and it says, hey, you can't play that, you're terrible, you're not very good. In your brain, just respond to it and say, no, I am very good. I am practicing, and if I'm not very good, I'm going to get better the more I practice. Literally, leave me alone. When it comes to imposter syndrome or negative self-belief, there are so many ways that you can fix that with affirmations and positive conditioning with your own brain, just to help you to overcome things that can be very crippling, very paralyzing, and really can stop you from making music. Maybe we've got someone in our lives that doesn't like that we play music because they might be jealous of the amount of time that you're putting into it and they'd rather that you spend it with them. Find a place If you can't find a quiet place in the house where you can make music, then just go get a rehearsal room, go in there by yourself or with others and just make music and make that your thing that you do. It can be incredibly rewarding. Even if you're just making music, it can be a really cathartic thing. There's definitely something quite magical that happens when we create music. Well, making music is one of those things that has so many benefits, so many rewards physically, mentally. So if you're into music, embrace it. Don't let other people or yourself stop yourself from actually making music. The next thing is really the next step, getting to the next step in terms of what we're doing. Maybe we're really happy with the music we're making, but we struggle with the concept of releasing it. Or maybe we're not ready or feel we're not ready to actually go and play it live. Or maybe there's something else that's stopping us from going to that next stage. Maybe we're releasing music and we're just not doing the marketing or the content, and so we're stuck there. That feeling of being stuck can be, again, very paralyzing and can really stop you from progressing with your music career. Let's talk a little bit about that. One of the things that I've often thought is a really great way to overcome that kind of next stage-itis is to really look at what is that next stage and just take a pause with everything that you're doing. Sit down either with your bandmates or by yourself and write down what are the goals, what are the things that we really want to get to. And we don't need to set goals like I'm going to be a superstar and be amazing and get signed and all the rest of it. Instead, what really helps is actually make a pact with yourself. And this is an agreement between you and your brain and your music or the gods of music or whatever, where you will commit to doing a certain number of things in order to achieve a objective. And that could be, for example, you've recorded your music and you want to release it and you want to create content. It might be, I'm going to commit to creating content for 50 pieces of content, and then I'm going to review what I'm doing and then assess it. Then saying I'm going to be a superstar and being delusional and making it a goal that is really potentially inaccessible in the short term. A lot of things in life take a long time, and it's important to acknowledge that. And it can be a long journey. And rather than tire yourself out by building this unachievable list of objectives, break it down into projects. So it could be, all right, I'm going to do a campaign to try something out on social media in order to promote the release of my latest EP. And so you're committing to doing a campaign of some description in order to promote that piece of work that you've done. And it might be, my goal is to drive streams, or it could be maybe I'm going to publish it online and I'm going to get direct download revenue. Whatever it is, set a goal and break it down and basically say, I'm going to commit to doing 20 social media posts, or I'm going to commit to writing one song, or I'm going to commit to recording 3 songs for an EP or a maxi single, whatever. That way you're not setting yourself up for failure. It's something that can be achievable. You can try it on. You're not committing your whole life doing something, but you're breaking it down to a goal. And just say you have other people in your life and that kind of commitment needs a bit of a sign off. So I know with my wife, I will talk to her about the things that I'm doing, and I will share with her and say, hey, I'm going to do this thing. I'm not committing my life to it, but what I am going to do is I'm going to do a campaign and it's going to look like this, and I'm going to do X activities. What do you think? And that way it's great that we have that commitment, and then she's on side, I'm on side, and I can just get on with it, knowing that we're going to review it at the end of it and see whether it's successful or not. And maybe as well, we might want to pivot. Maybe social media isn't the right way to promote something, and so we need to do something else. So setting up a little bit of a test or a project or a mini project or a finite project is a really great way of getting to the next stage by going, I'm going to launch into this new thing. It's something I'm not very comfortable with, but I'm only going to do a certain amount of it and I'm going to see how I get on. Finally, let's talk about that spark that music initially might bring us, but then later on, maybe the shine wore off and we find that it's kind of same and we're not really progressing. And we've lost that excitement that we originally had about our music. I call that the get excited bug. So if you're suffering from a lack of excitement about your music, or once upon a time you were very excited, take a minute and try and understand why that is. Maybe you're in a band and someone's really dominant and you're finding maybe that you're not feeling heard, or whatever, and that's what's really, you've lost the excitement around, it's important to understand where that lack of excitement's come from. Maybe it's a lack of excitement masking as anxiety or some self-doubt. And so it's important to really understand what's going on and get to the root of the problem in order to solve the issue. A good way to do it is to really sit down and go, I used to be excited about this, but now I'm not. Why not? What's going on? And it could be a bit of fear, maybe, or it could be some other reason. Maybe it's something you don't want to acknowledge. You're in a band and you're not really enjoying it, and maybe it's time for you to move on, and you're comfortable in that situation, and maybe you're a bit fearful about leaving or starting your own thing or joining a new band, and that shouldn't stop you. But if you're not excited about your music anymore, then you should really look at why. What is it about it that's made it more monotonous, or maybe you're not enjoying it anymore, and try and understand why that is. And there's a couple of things you can do to get excited again. So maybe change your environment. Maybe it's where you're rehearsing, or maybe where you're playing and it's time to do a bit of a change. Maybe you're recording in a really crappy place and you want to go and try out a new place. Go and record outside. Go and maybe do some gigs outside. Change your environment. Look at whether you're in the comfort zone. If you're in your comfort zone, maybe it's time for you to actually change and do something else. Maybe, you're playing it comfortable, playing it easy, and it's time for you to actually go outside your comfort zone and try to challenge yourself. Maybe set a challenge as a project and go and do that, because that can be a really great way to rekindle that excitement, is by challenging yourself around a set of goals, or maybe something that you're not that comfortable with. Maybe you play guitar and you want to learn bass, or maybe you want to learn piano, or whatever it is that's going to get that excitement back in and help you get motivated again. So there you go. There's a couple of things there to really try out, and that will help you hopefully get that motivation back into your music. And hopefully you like this video, and please go and check out some of the other videos that I've got on the channel that also deal with similar topics. And if you like this type of video, please comment below and I'll make sure to make more things like this. Okay, Al Marshall signing off. Thanks.